Kranzle USA, pressure washer perfection.
Hey everybody, this is the original Josh back again with Kranzle USA, and today we're going to take a look at the Kranzle Vario Nozzle. This nozzle comes with the K1122TS as well as a few other models built by Kranzle, and it is a multi-purpose nozzle. The nozzle has a couple different positions. We have the high pressure function, which is where the nozzle is pulled back all the way. Whenever we want to actuate the chemical injector, we pull out on the nozzle body, exposing the brass connection at the lance, and that's what puts us into the low pressure position. In either one of those positions, we can also turn the outer collar of the nozzle to change the pattern from a straight stream to a fan spray. So a common symptom that we have with some of the electric pressure washers is that you will experience flow coming from the pressure washer nozzle, but not in high pressure. And it is natural for one to assume that that's because the machine is not working, but in most cases it's the nozzle instead of the pressure washer that's malfunctioning. In most cases it is the high pressure orifice, which is inside the nozzle body, that gets clogged with debris, whether it be sand or bugs or mulch or what have you. So we want to take a look at how to open up the nozzle and clear out that clog and replace the nozzle orifice if we have to. So here are the tools that we're going to need. You're going to need a 22mm wrench, a 14mm wrench, and an 8mm wrench. And the last tool that we're going to need would either be a hat pin or a paper clip. So we start with the nozzle. You're going to grip the outer black body of the nozzle firmly, as well as the colored rear collar of the nozzle, and we're going to twist it hard enough to be able to disengage the locking pins from the outer casing. Once you've pulled this off, the fin assembly that creates the fan is going to be on the nozzle body, or it could also be up in the collar of the nozzle. But ultimately we're going to remove this so that we can expose the 14mm hex and the 22mm hex so that we can disassemble the nozzle. So once we have our nozzle exposed and the plastic casings off the outside, the 14mm wrench will go onto the end of the nozzle assembly. If you don't have metric, 9/16 is acceptable for this size. On the back end, we're using our 22mm, or if you have standard wrenches, on 7/8 will work. So we break those loose. They shouldn't be too tight. And once we've broken that loose, we can use the wrench and should be able to remove the outer brass nozzle tube that has our low pressure orifice. And if you see, this is a very large orifice for a pressure washer spray nozzle. So this is going to produce less restriction, which is what causes the chemical injector to begin to siphon. Underneath that nozzle tube, we have our high pressure orifice. So right here we have the base of the nozzle body, and then right here is our high pressure orifice. That's what we're going to use the 8mm wrench for. And once again, if you have standard, that's a 5/16 wrench that will remove that. So this one should be even easier to remove. Shouldn't be super duper tight. Once you snap it loose, you should be able to remove it by hand. And as you can see, this high pressure orifice, actually you can't even see it. Well, the high pressure orifice has a really small opening, and that restriction right there is what gives us our high pressure. It's right here in the tip, and it is only big enough for our paper clip or our hat pin. So like I said, the high pressure nozzle orifice is where our clog is going to be found. You'll typically be able to see it here on the threaded end of the nozzle assembly. And what we want to do is we want to free that blockage from the nozzle. So if we take our paper clip or our hat pin, we can take and carefully push through, cleaning out the blockage. So once you've pushed your blockage through, you can either rinse it with some water or blow it out with some compressed air. Just give it a and get it nice and clear. In some of the older nozzles, you also have to be careful not to push that high pressure orifice out. They used to pressed them in and it was a separate component. So be cautious of that when you push your blockage through. Make sure that you're not losing any additional brass pieces. But the modern nozzle is all one piece and should be pretty easy to clear. Once we've got that clean, we can begin the process of reassembling our Vario nozzle. So we take the nozzle assembly, hand thread the high pressure orifice back in, and then we'll use our 8mm 5/16 just to give it a little snug, and that's all the tight that it has to be. We don't want to over tighten the nozzle. Then we'll take the low pressure nozzle tube, thread it back onto the nozzle base. Once again, this doesn't have to be super tight. It's being sealed by the O-ring, so it doesn't need any Teflon tape. That's all it needs. Remove the nozzle fin assembly to the tip of the Vario base, and then we'll slide the outer casing back on. And now our nozzle's back together. We can go ahead and hook it back up to our pressure washer. Good way to prevent the high pressure orifice from getting clogged. Always flush out your accessories from your pressure washer before you put your high pressure nozzle on, whether it be this style or a flat tip. In many setups, you may have it set up on a wall where it seems like it could never get anything in it, but you just never know. So it's wise to go ahead and flush out your lines before you hook up your high pressure orifice. But now we've got it put back together, we can go ahead and get back to work. So thank you for joining me today. Be sure to like and subscribe, and don't forget, Kranzle, better than cheap.
Kranzle, USA. Pressure washer perfection.